Welcome to Crossbody of Work. My name is Evan.
I am Javier.
This week we look at a standout of 90s wrestling, Chris Candido.
Can diddly do, baby.
I can't believe I said we look like. I mean, we look like two random dudes on the internet. You know what we look like. You see us. If you watch us on YouTube, you see us every week. Hi. Good to see you.
I have a pimple patch. I don't look like a pro wrestler.
No, I don't look like a pro wrestler. I believe a couple weeks ago I described myself as the white Abdullah the Butcher. So, let's just keep that rolling.
If Abdullah the Butcher was Messi's height, yeah.
In the sixth grade, somebody came up to me and very earnestly said, "You look like Sylvester Stallone," and I didn't know how to react to that. I don't in any way look like Sylvester.
Not
Stallone.
even remotely.
Not even remotely. But this kid was like, "You look like Sylvester Stallone," and I was like, "I don't know how to react to that." Anyways, we cover wrestler.
A celebrity that you look most like?
No. Not even a little bit.
Have you ever taken one of those, like, you look
nobody
like
who
this person, X percentage of this celebrity? Like one of those, like, apps or whatever?
Nobody who looks like me gets famous, all right? Like, what are we doing?
That's not true.
I look like Billy Crystal? Like, what? Like, what are we doing here?
I mean, Billy Crystal got famous, man.
I can't believe it. They put me on a calendar.
They let fucking goddamn Carrot Top get famous, man. Anything is possible.
And then he became unbelievably jacked. It's terrifying. Well, who do you look like?
I don't know. I never did it. That's why I was asking you.
Whatever you say, Jimmy Neutron. All right. We cover wrestler through 5 of their most important matches. And for Chris Candido, we are covering SMW. We're covering his run as the Bodydonnas. We are covering his time in ECW. And of course, we're going to talk about the tragedy that befell Chris Candido. All of this is part of the episode. What do you know about Chris Candido before we dive in?
He was married to Sunny. He was in the Bodydonnas. He was in TNA, and well,
yeah, and we will get to that, his ill-fated TNA run. I didn't know much. I knew that he was somebody everyone was like, Chris Candido could fucking work. Like, everybody would say that. Chris Candido was a great worker, talented guy. I obviously knew about him and Sunny. Sunny, one of the most popular women in the world at one point.
Yeah, I mean, Sunny's like, it's whole. Also, are we ever going to break down the Sunny thing? Because I don't understand.
Don't you understand?
She's just like, and maybe it's like a matter of personal taste or whatever, but she's just not like, she's not that one for me.
You and I have had discussions like this before, and I believe it is personal taste.
It doesn't do it for me. Like, not even. I look at her, I'm like, she's all right.
Let me explain.
I feel like I could go to the Jersey Boardwalk and find 10 Sunnies right now.
Disagree. Let me explain something to you, youngster. All right, us old people. Back in the day, we didn't just get to see beautiful people on our phone all the time. All right, all beautiful people didn't have access to just display themselves at all given times.
I don't know, man. We had Nia Long out there, and y'all were downloading Sunny.
We had to scrimp and save, okay, for our beautiful women. We had to peruse, and so when one made it to wrestling, we were like, all right, we're in.
Jennifer Conley's out there. Oh, and you're over here looking at goddamn Sunny, making her the most downloaded woman on the internet or whatever though.
In 1996, and also Sunny beautiful, but also Jennifer Connelly, great decision, sir.
Shout out to Paul, whatever his name is.
Paul Bettany.
His last name, Paul Bettany.
Shout out to Paul. All right, we are a wrestling podcast, we promise. Candido was the grandson of Popeye Chuck Richards, who was a wrestler for the WWF. What? I'm bringing you facts. That's the role we have here. I bring facts.
His grandfather, Chris Candido, his grandfather was named Popeye. What was it?
Chuck Richards.
Chuck Richards.
I mean, Popeye was, I believe, part of his wrestling gimmick. He wrestled in the WWF from 66 to 74. And then Candido started training with Larry Sharp at age 14. While attending Red Bank Catholic High School, he met and fell in love with Tammy Lynn Sytch. They were high school sweethearts. Very cute. Very cute story. As a teenager, Candido and his friend Jonathan Reckner would begin working for independent professional wrestling promotions. You have heard of Jonathan Reckner before, but not by that name. That's Balls Mahoney.
Oh, my guy.
So as a teen, somehow there was a trio that existed of Tammy Lynn Sytch, Chris Candido, and Balls Mahoney. Outstanding.
I mean, yes, but also like Damn, what a tragic trio that is.
They would set up wrestling rings around New Jersey and then started to train at the Monster Factory with Larry Sharpe. Candido made his debut in 86. In 92, Candido and Sytch, she was billed as Tamara Fitch, were signed by Jim Cornette for Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And that is where our first match goes. We are looking at SMW match. It is Chris Candido versus Bobby Blaze at SMW Thanksgiving Thunder 1993. This is a loser is tarred and feathered match.
Thanksgiving Thunder, by the way, incredible pay-per-view
Incredible name. Does it beat Survivor Series?
No, but at least it's timely with the holiday.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? It's like Christmas Catastrophe. I feel like that would be pretty baller if someone pulled that out.
ECW should 100% have run Christmas Catastrophe.
I just like a themed show, like Independence Day, fucking insurrection.
The Great American Bash. The Great American Bash should always be around Independence Day. Yeah,
that's not like a holiday thing, you know.
Like
but it's celebrating America, but it's not. You know, you got to give me like a 4th of July Jubilee or some shit.
A Jubilee. So this match, we are watching it obviously on YouTube. All the links for all the matches below in the podcast notes as well as in the description of the YouTube video. This one is from Bobby Blaze's podcast channel and his YouTube channel and is him doing commentary over the match. Now, did you listen to the commentary by Bobby Blaze?
I did, and I regret it. Because it's just, I'm going to break down exactly what all of this is about, right? So the first part of it is Bobby saying, building up, the stuff between these two, how they were, because they were lightweight. This is a lightweight division type deal. They're lightweight champions. Or
Junior heavyweights, yeah.
Junior heavyweights, that's the one. And he's talking about their feud, how it works. He's praising Chris Candido being a great worker. That's the first 4 minutes, right?
I will also put in there that at a couple different points, he says that he is the better wrestler and athlete than Chris Candido, but Candido's the better worker. And I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. I mean, that's a nice way to get yourself over too. That's good. Anyways, continue.
Hey, you always got to get yourself over, man. And right, he says all this in the first 4 or 5 minutes, whatever it is. And then the rest of it, he just talks about Chris Candido hitting him with a top rope powerbomb. He spends 15 fucking minutes talking about Chris Candido coming to him saying, "Oh, I want to hit top rope powerbomb," and then he repeats 18 different times, just I don't know if he's strong enough to do it. I don't know, are you strong enough to do it, Chris?
And they're testing it. They were testing it out beforehand. My note that I wrote here:
so long.
After listening to commentary, Javier is going to make fun of this.
Yes, 100%. This did. My thought, right, when I saw this, I was like, oh, this is cool because it's Bobby Blaze. He's in the match. So I'm like, all right, he's going to break down, dissect the match, see how it goes, maybe tell us a little details from, behind the curtain, brother, that we didn't know of, obviously, because we were just watching the match and all this other stuff. No, he just talks about a fucking a top rope release fucking powerbomb that Chris Candido wanted to hit for 15 goddamn minutes. How do you do that? I couldn't even do that.
I will say, it's a great powerbomb, but we'll get to it in a minute. What do you think of the actual in-ring action?
Yapper, and I couldn't do that. I thought this was a good match.
This is a good match. This is a really good match.
I kind of want to say, if it wasn't for the finish and me not liking the finish, I would say this is my recommendation for the week. But
it's not mine, but
I think just work rate wise, it's probably my recommendation for the week.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, in terms of the actual match itself, Candido leaving the ring to start, springs around, Blaze catches him in the ring for a belly-to-belly overhead and a drop kick. Candido has beautiful suplexes that he will hit many of these matches. He hits the vertical suplex, dropping him on the top rope. Blaze does it right back, hits a baseball slide. There's a lot of good stuff happening here.
Yeah, they start off with some good old-fashioned wrestling, hip toss, arm control. Blaze hits a baseball slide, and Candido goes flying to the barricade. Candido reverse whips Blaze into the barricade. Then he gets into it with the ref because he's a good old heel.
He does the ringside
picking up.
Hold on, let's talk about this ref. This may be the Mumford who has sons. This is the most backcountry woods looking referee I've ever seen in my life. This man has a glorious mullet, and I would trust him with my life.
What is this, a Mumford and Sons concert?
The mulleted ref is just so wonderful because Candido has headlocks in, he's using ropes for leverage, and the referee will have none of it. And I love that.
You know, this might be a breach of trust between my brother and I. But yesterday he confided in me that he was thinking of growing out a mullet in like
Okay.
a unique way, because he already has like a bun going. And his
Okay.
hair along the sides is a little long, like it's not a shaved side really. He's letting it grow a little bit, and he's like thinking, I'm gonna let the back start growing a little bit, maybe get the mullet going while also having the bun on. And I was like, this brother already kind of looks like current day Tommy Dreamer. I can't let him do this.
You got to cut it while he's sleeping. That's the only way. You got to cut it while he's sleeping. You got to go
I would
nuclear
if I had
option.
any access to his apartment. Actually, I might. I'll just break a window. Who cares? I know where he lives.
I might. We got, again, more beautiful suplexes by Candido. Boot by Blaze. Crescent kick. Goes for a drop kick. Candido holds the ropes to avoid. Always a good spot. Boston Crab gets held on for a while. And I'm laughing because if you're watching, obviously we don't have the commentary of the actual match. Blaze is tapping out, but that wasn't a thing back then. No. And I want people to also recognize that. Like, I think this is the truth as to who popularized actually tapping out. Like where it actually came from?
I don't actually know. It was an MMA thing, wasn't it? Because in MMA you tap.
So it's an MMA thing.
Shamrock, is it?
It's Ken Shamrock. I'm pretty sure that they wanted, because it's all over, like people saying like Taz brought it to wrestling, but also Ken Shamrock brought it to wrestling. Apparently the first one you saw was Taz in ECW, but it's also been commonly said that Ken Shamrock popularized it as a way to, you can see it very visibly when he was doing the ankle lock.
Well, I mean, let's just be real here. Nobody was watching Taz over Ken Shamrock at that time period.
Well, the ECW faithful will be mad at you, but that's okay.
And I'm okay with that.
Because we're not going to Philly anymore. We already went.
It's like 95 ECW. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No one's really watching you compared to Ken Shamrock in the WWF 96. Like, what are we doing here?
The amount of times I wrote Candido hits a good suplex, I think there's at least 6.
That was my next note. Beautiful suplex for Deerfall. The pace starts picking up. Again, Candido goes off the top rope, or goes up to the top rope.
Yeah.
Jumps off, and then Blaze hits him with, just drop kicks him.
Really nice.
Blaze runs Candido chest first into a corner off of an Irish whip, and then hits a bridging German suplex for near fall.
Bobby Blaze ruled. This is a really good performance, Bobby Blaze.
I've never heard of Bobby Blaze before, but this brother might be a grappler.
He was cooking. This is really good.
Got some graps going there. Candido hits that swinging neck breaker, the weird one that Jeff Jarrett hits, where he like grabs the arm and like dances with him.
The full do-si-do, if you will.
The shake, rattle, and roll. That's really just a shake, rattle, and roll. The what's it called? The Honky Tonk Man's finisher.
Yeah. Candido's on the top. Blaze does like a front flip kick using the middle rope to get him stunned, which I thought was cool. And this is all leading to the spot we've been talking about on commentary for 20 minutes. He comes up to Candido. Candido hits the diving powerbomb off the top rope, which would later be renamed the Blonde Bombshell. Good name for it. Blaze is dead weight, which it's a spoiler because this is the thing he's been talking about on commentary. He's like, oh, I'm going to play it like I'm dead weight, which apparently he only learned after Kevin Sullivan yelled at him. Essentially, Kevin Sullivan did the old, like, you're killing the business if you kick out of this spot, so you have to act like you've been killed.
Yeah. He's in a powerbomb off the top rope. He's got to act like he's been killed. Honestly, I don't understand why they didn't end the match like that, but I guess
should have just been a finish.
Yeah, after seeing the finish, I guess makes sense. Candido stacks him, like rolls him up. Blaze's foot hits the middle rope. It's the Neville Seth Rollins thing, kind of. Yeah. Except the ref doesn't see the foot on the ropes, so he just counts through to the end. 1, 2, 3. Candido gets to tar and feather Bobby Blaze.
Did you stick around to watch him get tarred and feathered?
I didn't see the tarring really because the quality wasn't very good, but the feathering part was funny.
He's definitely feathered. He's a feathered friend by the end.
He got feathered like a motherfucker.
On November 19th, 1994, Candido would win a 10-man tournament that featured wrestlers like Tracy Smothers, Al Snow, and Dirty White Boy, great name, no notes, to win the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, which had been vacated when Shane Douglas was in ECW. So when he does the famous like NWA can kiss my ass, Chris
Yeah.
Candido is the next NWA World Champion in that lineage.
Good for
But
him, man.
there was limited exposure for the NWA at this point because there was no national TV outlet for the remaining affiliations. So most of his title defenses happened in SMW or on the independent circuit, and he would lose the title to Dan Severn, February 24th, 95. Also, in late 94, I just need to talk about this angle with you. He formed a tag team with Boo Bradley, a.k.a. Balls Mahoney, so his childhood friend. At Christmas Chaos, there you go, another Christmas name, another themed holiday name. Candido attacked Bradley after they lost a bout to Tracy Smothers and Cactus Jack. In a controversial angle, Sonny kidnapped Bradley's pet cat Boots and brought a bag supposedly containing the cat to the ring, which Candido then leg dropped and kayfabe killed the cat. Yeah. So Chris Candido went Christy Gnome on Boots. Javier is checking on his own kitty cat if you're watching on YouTube.
She is alive. I just woke her up. I feel kind of bad about it.
Obviously, this is all kayfabe, but what a way to get heat to just drop, leg drop a cat.
I don't even know. Would that kill the cat? Maybe if Hogan did it.
It didn't kayfabe.
If Yokozuna dropped the cat, it would kill the cat. But if Hogan dropped it, Hogan would kill the cat. Terry Bollea wouldn't.
No, brother. This would lead to a loser leaves town dog collar match that Candido lost because him and Sonny were heading to WWF. Now, they get to WWF and they are renamed Skip and Sonny. The duo were given the pair of arrogant fitness gurus who would mock opponents and members of the audience for being unfit, and Candido would do push-ups during matches. On January 6, 96, Candido would defeat Radford with the assistance of Tom Pritchard, who had been repackaged as Zip, and Skip and Zip became the Bodydonnas. We look at our next match. It's the Bodydonnas versus the Smoking Guns for the WWF tag titles at the Royal Rumble 96. They didn't tag team for 3 weeks.
My favorite thing, right, is that it's Dr. Tom. That plays Zip, man. That's crazy to me.
Tom Pritchard with a bleached buzz cut is so jarring. He looks like an extra in a Slim Shady video. It is so unsettling.
The funniest thing about it, right, is Dr. Tom, did you ever watch that FCW documentary kind of thing that they put out a few years ago?
Yes.
So when they showed and interviewed Dr. Tom for that stuff, he is such a serious, reserved, quiet, not at all this kind of character that it's so fucking funny. It's hilarious because even the way they talk about him, they're like, "Oh yeah, he's serious. He's a great teacher. He's a serious guy who has a dry sense of humor, all this other stuff." And it just seeing him and knowing that he is Zip, it is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. It's also weird because he wasn't that old when this was happening. This is 96. He's 37 in this? He's not ancient by any stretch of the imagination.
Younger than Roman Reigns currently is.
Exactly, but still, it's one of those things of WWF being well, we need to repackage you. Here's a completely different gimmick, like El Matador for Tito Santana. Here you go. Here's something.
Oh.
Here's something new.
But the Tito thing is outrageous because it's Tito, you know.
Yeah,
the guy was already popular.
It was outrageous.
We'll cover that in our deep dive of Tito eventually, but
the Bodydonnas walked so Simon Dean could run.
Simon Dean is underappreciated. Simon Dean was excellent.
I agree. The Simon system, especially nowadays, I feel like that gimmick would get over as a multi-level marketing scheme. You're telling me Grayson Waller couldn't just be Simon Dean right now? He could. He absolutely could.
Grayson Waller could not be Simon Dean because Grayson Waller, I think, is just too good for that character. You know what I mean? I just feel like we
both love Simon Dean, but we also recognize that it shouldn't be a big character.
No, it's he kind of just has this. There's an upside to Grayson Waller. I could envision Grayson Waller being a heel world champion at some point in his career. Whereas the Simon Dean character, I feel the max you get is a very good IC title run.
Yeah,
You
you're
know,
probably
maybe
right.
a token world title run if he gets the hell. Nova should have gotten a goddamn world title run, but that's beside the point.
They are wrestling Billy and Bart Gunn, aka the Smoking Guns, aka Daddy Ass, and the most unfortunate boxer of all time. Go and watch our YouTube video where we talked about the Brawl for All tournament, because it's a hoot if you've never seen the Brawl for All tournament.
It is a hoot. I'm gonna be well. This is where I bring up the Sunny thing. That was my first note of this, because
Yeah.
that's all I hear about for the first minute of this match is just Sunny from Jerry the King Lawler.
Again, remember, Jerry the King Lawler, it's any woman that's near him.
Oh, we'll talk about what Jerry the King Lawler wants on the next match. The size difference between these two teams is insane. It is so unbelievably. It's literally like if the Creed brothers face DIY.
Specifically,
Like,
Skip. Like, Tom Pritchard's a little taller and a little bit. Skip versus Billy and Bart. Oh, it's the match itself.
I mean, they're about the same height. Tom Pritchard's just wider.
The match itself is pretty good. Billy gets head scissors by Skip, back body drop to Skip, double elbow by the Bodydonnas. Bart Gunn sends both men to the outside by pulling on the rope. Billy Gunn with a over the top crossbody.
Yeah, shout out to Billy flying out for the plancha. I didn't know Daddy Ass had it in him.
It is a crossbody to the Bodydonnas. That makes that a crossbody Donna. Thank you and good night. I've peaked.
Skip gets punched back and forth between the Guns.
Back and forth.
Sonny distracts the Guns, but Zip does nothing about it. Like, he just stands there.
Zip's like, good
Instead
job.
of taking advantage of the distraction. The Guns hit a hard attack on Skip. Sonny gets on the apron to distract the ref. Billy wipes her out by accident by hitting the ropes.
And gentleman Billy goes and checks on Sonny, which
yes,
Billy always been a gentleman. He's an ass man, but he's a gentleman of an ass man.
He's an ass man, but he's not an asshole.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
It was right there. It was a low-hanging fruit, and you didn't take it.
No, I'm still focused on Crossbody Donnas.
The Bodydonnas use that like little momentary distraction on Billy to attack him. They get the advantage. Skip hits a front suplex, or Skip front suplexes Zip onto Billy.
Yeah.
Then Zip gut wrench power bombs Skip onto Billy as well.
They're just using each other as abuse. The Bodydonnas run into each other when they're both in the ring, which I thought was funny. And that gives an opening for Billy to hit the hot tag to Bart. Rate the hot tag.
I mean, it's literally just a few punches, a back body drop, a back elbow for a near fall. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's a solid 3.5.
I was going to say it's a 4. So there we go.
Like,
we get a great combo of the top rope backbreaker leg drop combo by the Guns. It's a good move.
Yep.
It's a good move.
Love it. I'm
Always
pretty sure
is.
it's their finisher.
Sonny with the distraction to the ref. Skip with the, I wrote as a diving fist drop.
Yeah, it's the Bret Hart middle rope elbow, but instead of an elbow, it's a fist.
Yeah. Bart still kicks out at 2. We get double backdrop by the Bodydonnas, double suplexes going for it, but Billy spears one of the Bodydonnas, and Bart rolls up the other for the 1.
I know it's supposed to be a tackle, but that's a fucking spear. Right,
that's a fucking spear. You ready for my potentially hot take?
Go on.
If I had the option to wrestle in any gear, I too would wrestle in jeans.
No, that's a hot take.
I would.
No, that's a hot take.
Jeans are comfortable. I will if you buy the right jeans. If you buy the right jeans, jeans are comfortable. I would wear. Essentially, I would look like Dean Ambrose. I would be in the wife beater and jeans.
Nope. You know what? My best one. I think the genius of all geniuses is Orange Cassidy, because those aren't jeans. Those are joggers that look like jeans. I want to wrestle in fucking joggers. Get me some joggers, some sneakers. I don't need a fucking tank top. I'm a pro wrestler. I probably got a 6-pack anyways. And if not, I at least got look. You know, who gives a fuck? I'm a pro wrestler. I don't care how ridiculous I look in this.
Exactly.
So I want to wrestle in joggers. I don't care if they're the jean versions like Orange Cassidy has or not. I just want to be comfy out there, man.
I have always had this. People are like, "Oh, getting something comfy," and I will put on jeans. I'm comfy. I like my jeans.
Yeah,
I'm in a comfortable place right now.
Not that jeans aren't comfy, because I do have a very comfortable pair, a few comfortable pairs of jeans. it's just not as comfy as like joggers or sweatpants.
You're right.
There's just not.
Do we need to have our own wrestling take purge? Do you listen to the Ringer NFL like the Ringer NFL draft show?
I do, yeah.
You heard their take purge episode where they just say things they may
Yes.
not fully believe. Do we need a wrestling take purge? I feel like we do.
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like we do.
Can I
Let the people
throw-
know what this is. Let the people know.
So
Tell
a
them.
take purge is much like in the movie The Purge, where for one episode of a podcast, anything you say cannot and will not be held against you. So any of your most outlandish takes you can use and put them on the podcast. One of the people on the Bringer Fantasy Football podcast, Ben Solak, said he thinks eating is overrated, which he might be right.
No, he isn't, because I fucking love eating. It's one of my favorite things.
He might be right. So I think we should have a wrestling version. I think we should bring somebody on too. I think we should have another wrestling personality on, and we should talk about just our wrestling takes.
Should we have a round table? Multiple people. It should be like 8 of us.
Can you give me one of your wrestling takes that will be on the take purge?
Ooh, that cannot be held against me.
Cannot be held against you.
Ooh.
I have one.
Go ahead.
I think in terms of there are so many storyline beats available that it makes sense for Xavier Woods to be world champion at some point. I think there's enough backstory and lore to be built on that you could easily get Woods to the world title picture, but they won't fucking do it.
I don't think
they should. I think there's enough built-in lore and enough things that are there between the Big E injury and Kofi Mania that you could get to Woods getting a world title, and I think it would be good.
See, here's my thing with that. I'm not holding it against you, because I think I love the idea of Xavier winning a world title, but the problem is Kofi had Bryan as a heel, which perfectly matched the story being told by Kofi to get there.
Yep.
Big E won Money in the Bank.
Yep.
And then beat Bobby Lashley, and that was believable because it's Big E, and he's the only person who could really match physically that Bobby Lashley character where he was back in 2021.
Yep.
Right? That's when that was?
Yep.
That made sense as well. What's the story with Xavier? Who's the person he's taking it from?
We'll get there, but Gunter. Anyways, what's your take purge that you want to get rid of? You gotta have something that's been rattling around the old hopper.
This is gonna get me blacklisted probably.
All right, I'm ready.
Why? See, you have your Xavier Woods being a world champion, and that I think that's a great idea. Why can't R-Truth take the title from Damian Priest?
Yes, that's exactly what this is for. Yes.
I understand he had his
100%.
moment at WrestleMania. It's huge.
100%.
I love it. All this stuff. If we're talking about wrestling and wrestling stories, we love our long-term storytelling, all this other stuff. In my mind, there are 2 people that can take that title from Priest, and it makes total sense based off of where the story has gone for the last year or so.
Is it Finn Balor and R-Truth?
No, it's not even Balor. It's Truth, and it's Dom. That's it.
This is exactly why we need to take Purge episode. I'm 100% on board. R-Truth World Champion. All right. We're going to reset after our mini take Purge. We're going to take a break. When we get back, more Bodydonnas. Back from the break, the Bodydonnas would win a title for the vacant. They would win a tournament for the vacant titles, defeating the Godwinns on March 31st, 1996, in the finals of the WrestleMania 12 pre-show. After Sonny ran some interference, they would become the WWF Tag Team Champions and feud with the Godwinns for a while. That leads to WWF In Your House 7, Good Friends, Better Enemies, Bodydonnas, Godwinns for the WWF Tag Team Championships. Of course, Sonny is with the Bodydonnas, but Hillbilly Jim is here with the Godwinns.
Yeah, I love that. I love the full stack Hillbilly crew.
And you and I, we love Midian. We're Dennis Knight stands, so this is good stuff.
I love the Godwinns. I don't know if I've ever preached the gospel of the Godwinns on this podcast, but I fucking love the Godwinns.
Well, I mean, we did the whole Midian episode. If you want a really good episode to go back and listen to, if you're looking for some background noise, go listen to the boys talk about Midian. Oh, episode like 130 something.
And shout out to Henry O. Godwinn. I love Henry O. Godwinn, man.
It's true.
Star of this match, in my opinion.
Star of this match for 2 reasons. I have 2 specific Henry O. Godwinn notes. One, he spits in the air, catches it, and rubs his hands together to start the match.
I don't know if that was legit spit or if that was like a piece of gum that he just pulled, like shot up in the air,
No,
or
that
what
was
it
spit.
was.
Because how else would he rub it into his hands?
Well, I mean,
Disgusting. I loved it.
you could, if a gum is wet, it doesn't really have the like the strong adhesive to it yet. So you could just do that, and then like, you could. He's wearing fucking overalls.
I
You could stick it
choose
to
to
the
believe
overalls.
Javier. The other thing is he hits a wheelbarrow German suplex in this match that is disgusting.
Anyways,
Disgusting.
do you want to hear one of the worst things I will ever say on this podcast?
It can't be worse than some of the other things you've said, but go.
I said one of.
Okay, yeah.
Um,
Add it to the crew.
before the match starts, Sonny gets on the mic and says like, we're about to see something you're never gonna see or whatever, like saying something about you never know what you're gonna see, and then she like goes like that. And then my response to that is, we saw it, Tammy. You farted.
Go watch The Dark Side of the Ring on Tammy and Candido, and just be sad. Just be sad. What do you think the actual in-ring work here?
Henry spits up and then again catches it with the spit with his hands and rubs it in. And I know you mentioned that already, but I feel like it needs to be reemphasized because that's like one of the coolest spots in the history of pro wrestling. It's like when Brock fucking threw the mic and Roman just caught it
and then winked at him. The actual in-ring stuff here is pretty generic, except for a couple big moves. Like early on, the Bodydonnas are double teaming. Henry does a little bit of work, and then they work the arm of I think it's Zip for a little bit.
It is Zip because Phineas bites the arm where the brace is.
And then we get that wheelbarrow German spot that I talked about. The Bodydonnas try twin magic, but the ref is just like, you're a different guy. Like, you aren't twins. It looks like, that's Zip.
It's like, how do you know, huh?
Because you're Zip. Get out of the wing. We get the double ear slap by Phineas.
Love it. Phineas gets knocked out of the ring because Skip pulls down the top rope. They hit a double slingshot suplex to Phineas, which I love a slingshot suplex.
It's real good. Yeah.
It's a good move every single time. The silence that comes out of Vince McMahon after Jerry the King Lawler makes like a Nebraska State Fair joke was fucking hilarious. It's like 3 seconds of dead air.
He says, like, what's got two dirty teddy bears and something else? And he goes, the Nebraska State Fair. Whatever. And Vince just has no idea. And
it's literally like, Evan, let's just not talk for 3 seconds.
No, I don't want to. Okay, here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
All right, folks. And then when they got him, like, that's what it is. It's literally that. It's so painfully
It's so much
silent.
better when you know that Vince is his boss, and that if he wasn't on air, he'd be like, Jerry, what the fuck are you talking about?
The worst was, so he has a joke that he fucks up about Sonny.
He butchers it.
He said something about Sonny what he meant to say was Sonny didn't know what the front seat of a car looked like until she was 20 years old. Yes. But what he ended up saying was Sonny didn't know what the back seat of a car looked like until she was 20 years old, which makes no fucking sense.
Which means she's holding out.
Which means, like, she's what is she, passenger princess? I don't know what's happening here.
Also, who doesn't love to be passenger princess? All right, everyone loves it.
I don't. I like to be the driver because I don't know if it's just me, but I always think that I'm a better driver than the person who's actually driving. So if they're like, oh, you're taking this turn a little bad, I don't like that.
I'm just like, I trust most people I drive with, so I'm like, hell yeah, like let me get in the car. I'll just hang out. I'll vibe. I'll be on the aux. That's cool.
Also, I never get motion sickness. Not motion sickness. Like, I never feel like a little weird when I'm driving. I'm in the passenger seat. Sometimes like fair. There's like a 5% chance I get a little motion sickness going.
Sonny runs to the back and gets a signed photo of herself, and she gives it to Phineas at ringside. Henry, in like a house on fire, hits the Scorpion Death Drop. Well, that's cool.
That's a slop drop. Thank you.
That's slop drop. Nobody's looking because Hillbilly Jim was about to go slop Sonny. The ref is out there. We then get twin magic that actually works. The Bodydonnas one replaces the other. I believe Zip replaces Skip.
Yep. Mike Chioda we need to talk about the fact that you were good at the beginning and then bad at the end. You turned into Hebner.
Can only be good for so long. When Henry comes back after the slop drop, obviously Zip just rolls him up 1, 2, 3. They hold on to the titles. They would hold on to the titles until May 19th of that year, when they would lose them to the Godwinns. Following the loss, Sunny left the Bodydonnas and briefly aligned herself with the Godwinns before actually managing the Smoking Guns.
It also needs to be talked about that one of the biggest spots on Raw, honestly, probably the history of Raw during that WWF era, is Sunny getting slopped.
Yeah, Sunny getting slopped was a big deal. Following the departure of Sunny, the Bodydonnas would eventually turn face, announced that they were seeking a new manager, and at King of the Ring, they introduced their new manager. I'm using the verbatim written on the Wikipedia here. The transvestite Cloudy, portrayed by Candido's friend Jimmy Shoulders. I don't like 90s wrestling all the time. In late 90s, in late 96, Candido would leave the WWF and rejoin ECW. And that's where our promo is. It's from 97 ECW. And Chris Candido has some bones to pick with Terry Funk.
He starts off by saying, first off, he's got like a jokey demeanor to his tone this entire time. I don't know if that's what Chris Candido actually sounds like or not, but it's fucking hilarious.
It sounds like, you know how an MJF turned face with Adam Cole?
Yeah.
And like, it sounds like friendly MJF at times. That's kind of the best way I can describe it. Like, he's just
a very similar voice too. They have very similar voices.
Yeah, they really do.
He says I admire Terry Funk, and you know, he said his grandfather Popeye wrestled him.
Yep.
And says it was Terry's first match at the Garden, and he's beating his ass. And if Chuck had not lost that match, he would have won.
He then does, I shit you not, the greatest Terry Funk impression I have ever seen in my life. And all it took,
he puts a tape over his head,
was tape on his eyebrow. Because the second he puts it on, he is transformed into Terry Funk, and he's so good.
He's like, I can't do Terry Funk.
I can't do it either.
I'm not going to disrespect Terry Funk to try to do a Terry Funk either. Because I love Terry Funk. I'm Terry Funk, and I want to talk about my daddy and my brother again. I want to be world champion again. I want to be NWA World Champion again. And then something. And then he talks something about Freckles Brown. And then Candido just cuts off the impersonation and goes, I don't give a damn about Freckles Brown.
He doesn't give a rat's ass about Freckles Brown. And talks about, he's like, I was NWA champion 2 years ago. Like, who cares? You were NWA champion in 1977. I was NWA champion 2 years ago. And then he's talking about how he's also hardcore, except Candido is not hardcore.
Yeah, he says, you know, I would do all this stuff. I would get put through a table too. But, you know, I tweaked my back the other day, so that's probably not a great idea. Something like that. He said, I would do like Tommy Dreamer did, take chair shot to the head, get laid down in the middle of the ring, all that stuff. But you see, we just got a little puppy and carrying her on the road and stuff. And, you know, but any other time I would do it. And then he said, I'd bill myself as the hardcore legend too. But ECW is booking me as, you know, there's no gimmick. Said I have no gimmick, and if, you know, other stuff.
He does all this like he's being very like jokey, and then at the end he's just like, I'm Chris Candido. If you don't believe me, come to the ring and find out. And like he's like he turns it on at the very end. I was like, this is an excellent promo.
It's an excellent promo. I fucking loved it.
It's a minute 40. But it's tight. Everything matters. Yes. He needs to say everything in the promo. He doesn't it's all for a purpose. I am fully in on Chris Candido in terms of the in-ring, or in terms of the charisma.
Of everything that we cover this week, that's my recommendation. It's the promo.
The promo is worth it. And then my recommendation is our next match. So we're going to take a break. When we get back, we'll talk about his match in ECW. Back from the break, when Candido came to ECW, he became part of the revived Triple Threat stable alongside Shane Douglas. While in Triple Threat, he got the nickname No Gimmicks Needed and developed a rivalry with fellow member Lance Storm, who was then replaced by Bam Bam Bigelow. Candido actually teamed with Storm to win the ECW Tag Team Championships December 5th, 97 from Doug Furness and Phil LaFawn. Despite being a reluctant team who hated each other, Candido and Storm would hold the belts for about 6 months until they lost them to Sabu and Van Dam in June of 98. That takes us to Heatwave 98 when they finally get their chance to face each other. It is Candido versus Lance Storm.
The hardcore legend versus the most serious man in the ring.
If I could be serious for a moment, this clip starts with the reintroduction, and actually the first time introduction of Tammy Lynn Sytch to ECW. It's her first appearance. Yeah,
nice. Or well, maybe not. So you know what's a dream match that just popped into my head? Air quotes dream match. It's not really a dream match. You know what was a fun fantasy match that just popped into my head? Lance Storm versus Gunther.
Oh, that'd be excellent.
Fun little program where they're both just cutting serious promos on each other.
That'd be excellent. That'd be a real good match.
The matter's sacred. Well, yeah, I agree. That's why I'm so serious.
There are certain people I would love to have seen match up against Gunther, and they're all like mid-card wrestlers from the 2000s who didn't get enough love who only like the hardcore in-ring people love. Like
Nova.
Give me Gunther versus Nova. Give me Gunther versus Lance Storm. Give me Gunther versus Regal. Give me Gunther versus Tajiri. Like, I want all of them.
I got a good one for you. Give me Gunther against Terry Funk. Pre-ECW Terry Funk, when Terry Funk was Terry Funk.
He's just swinging his arms around all the time. So Tammy and Candido, they're here. They do the Steiner's pose. Candido has I was like, oh, he's got a weird like little wrestling helmet on. And then I realized it's because RVD and Sabu tore off his ear in their match.
All right, was that shoot?
No, it was kayfabe.
Okay.
It's fucked it up, I think. I'm pretty sure it was kayfabe. Tammy takes the mic from Bob, introduces
obviously
Candido.
Not like blowing it up. I don't know if he actually had like a shoot ear injury or something. And I mean, they took the headgear off, so I guess that answers that. But
Tammy takes the mic to do the introduction and says that Chris Candido is weighing 240 of the hardest pounds I've ever felt. Pause. Can't say that on TV. You can't say that, Tammy.
Sunny days, baby.
Candido is jacked to the gills, by the way.
He always is, though. I feel like every single match that we've got, he's been a pretty thick boy.
This match specifically, I'm like, he's like jacked, but also he's shredded more than he's been in any other match. Yeah.
The abs are abbing.
Their abs are abbing. What'd you think of this match?
This is a great match.
This is a great match.
This is the other match I would put in contention with the first match that we covered. I think if you include the finish and everything, this is also my recommendation for the week.
Yeah.
My problem. Another thing is I just kind of want to tell people to go watch the 15 minutes of Bobby Blaze talking about the powerbomb.
I want everyone to experience it. This is like if you want the best match, go watch this match. If you want a fun experience this week, go watch the Bobby Blaze match and listen to commentary.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious. Storm is not taking any shit. He starts running after Tammy too when she like gets the tiniest bit involved.
Yeah,
it's like, damn, you're just gonna beat up a woman. All right. Candido hits a running Liger bomb, which I loved. I love it. I love a Liger bomb.
We get a really nice. I said probably one of the most clean connections on a crossbody I've ever seen. Top rope crossbody by Candido. Connects clean as a whistle. He is square to exactly where Lance Storm's chest is. This is really good.
Candido is fucking precise. Let me tell you something.
He's very precise.
Middle rope leg drop for a near fall. Storm, it's a super kick, which they call a thrust kick, but it's a super kick.
Yeah,
for a near fall. Candido swinging neck breaker for a near fall.
Also in there, Candido hit a really nice delayed vertical suplex, and on commentary, Joey Styles is talking about how much of this move is physical, but also mental. Like, because you've heard the kayfabe explanation of like, oh, the blood drains to the head and it makes the impact more impactful. Like, when you regalize it, all that. I love it. He's like, it's mental too. Like, just holding someone up here, be like, there's nothing you can do. Like, I have you. Yeah. Like, you're just stuck here. I was like, oh, that's actually a really good way to think of it. That's something I love about Joey Styles. The way he's just like throwing little nuggets in there that add.
It's my favorite thing about the muscle buster. Once he gets you in position and you're on his shoulders, like
what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Nothing.
And you're gonna land on your fucking neck.
Speaking of landing a neck, Storm suplexes Candido to the outside from the apron. Ooh. Yeah. Baseball slide sends Candido into the front row. Storm with a dive off the top rope onto Candido.
Love it.
I love Lance Storm.
Lance Storm, for a very boring individual, was really fun in the ring.
Lance Storm could fucking cook in the ring. I love that. He put all of his interesting points were like in the ring. And outside he's just like, I like a stiff cup of tea.
he maxed out the stuff he thought was very important for the wrestling side of things.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm only gonna do real graps.
I'm currently doing a Fallout New Vegas playthrough. Harvey and I were talking about before we started recording because of the Fallout show, and all I do is max out speech and charisma. I want to play another way. I might try a Fallout 4 playthrough as a melee and like brute build because I think that'd be fun.
That's what I always do.
See, I never do that. I'm all charisma. I talk my way out of everything in Fallout.
Well, I'm just not a good person in Fallout, is why. Like, I do not care. I'm like that in every video game.
So wait, you've played 3? You play Fallout 3?
Yeah.
How quickly did you blow up Megaton? Like not like instantly, but like
I want to say there was a hesitation. I do. I want to say there was a hesitation.
There wasn't.
Like the iconic Tony Hawk tweet where like there's a race war and I got to shoot Tony Hawk, and it's the Wesley Snipes with the gun and the tear. Yeah. He's like, I appreciate the hesitation. Like, that's me. I had a tear in my eye, but I did it.
And then you move into the hotel. It's great. Storm suplexes Candido from the top rope into the ring. Top rope spinning heel kick for 2. Tiger bomb by Storm for another 2. Springboard by Storm. Candido turns into a power slam. Some really good stuff. Candido then gets a fistful of powder from Tammy. Storm knocks it back into his face. And in the confusion, Candido fucking cold clocks the ref.
And then while the ref is out and about, Storm goes up to the top rope. Tammy gets into the ring, starts rubbing on his ass. It's a good ass, but like you gotta do that.
As far as I'm concerned, that's Canada's ass. She crotches him on the top rope.
Pushes him forward. He crotches himself. The ref touches Tammy just like right here. Because he can't fucking tell what's going on. My man got fucking rocked. And Candido sees this, rolls up the referee.
No. Candido is still selling the powder, so he still can't see.
Well, he sees this.
Yeah, and so he assumes it's Storm and rolls him up. As the roll-up happens, where the ref's hand is the strap of Tammy's dress, and he pulls the strap off, and Tammy has to cover herself.
Yes, and then some security guy comes, puts a jacket over her.
And is booed mercilessly by the Philadelphia faithful. They're like, you fucking asshole.
Fucking horny pigs.
Anyways, people. Candido does get Storm and does hit the blonde bombshell, the top rope powerbomb that our boy...
He fucking eats that brother.
Lance Storm almost lands in the other turnbuckle, which is crazy. He obviously wins after that move, because that move should be a finish all the time.
And Lance Storm does not move. He just does not move whatsoever. He is laid out there. Usually you see a guy stirring a little bit to get out of the ring. Storm is just flat-backed. Does not care that there's another match after this.
No. So there would be a little bit more ECW. His last appearance would be in December of 99. I didn't know he did a cup of coffee in WCW. I did not realize that. Debuted in March of 2000, immediately began competing in the Cruiserweight division and won the vacant Cruiserweight Championship in April of 2000. He got some assistance from Sonny, who joined him there. He was there for a little while, had a feud with Crowbar and Daphne, had a feud with the Artist and Paisley, the Artist, of course, being the artist formerly known as Prince Iaukea. So like that, and Paisley, for those who don't know, is Queen Charmel. There you go. Everyone learned something today. He was briefly in the New Blood, left, was on the independent circuit, did a little cup of coffee in New Japan Pro Wrestling, was in XPW, but we're looking at a very interesting matchup that you found on YouTube. I'm very, very proud that you found this. This is a very interesting matchup. IWA Mid-South, April 1st, 2002. No April Fool's jokes here. It's Chris Candido versus Chris Hero.
Yeah. There was a specific IWA Mid-South match between him, Hero, I think Punk was in it. It was like a 6-person match that I tried to find, but I couldn't find on the internet. But I did just end up finding him against Hero straight up, so I just threw that in there.
Yeah, it's a great idea, and the match itself is
you would have loved it. It was like him, Hero, Punk. I think Eddie Kingston, Claudio might have That might have been a little too early, but I don't know. There was like a whole hub. It was like literally all the people that you would want in there that just went to Ring of Honor in like a couple of years. And
From what I can
like,
tell, it's Danny Daniels, Matt Sydal, and the Second City Saints, so Ace Steel and Punk, versus Claudio, Nigel, Candido, and somebody named Steve Stone.
that isn't the match, but I wish I had found that match.
Damn. So this match is interesting. Tammy's out with a big fancy coat. Candido is wrestling in what I would describe as Terry Funk's pants. And Chris Hero's in a Superman t-shirt. I was like, yeah.
I don't know how to describe it, but have you seen The Sopranos?
Yes.
She looks like a mixture of Carmela and, oh my God, I'm blank on her name. What was Christopher's girlfriend's name?
Oh, no.
Some of the name. Angelina? No.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, and I'm sure
For those who've it's been a few years, or it's been more than a few years since I've seen The Sopranos. I forget. But it's someone with an A. It's Christopher's girlfriend,
Adriana.
Yeah. She looks like a mixture of the two of them.
Yeah, and she's got a big feather jacket out there. What do you think of the actual in ring?
I thought this was solid. I hated the finish.
The finish
I thought this
sucks.
was solid.
The finish
It was a good match up until then. And the most comical part about all of this is commentary just casually dropping that Punk is defending the world title in the main event against Road Dogg.
What the hell? I did not hear that at all.
I was like, what is going on right now? Why the fuck is Road Dogg getting a title shot? Yeah, CM Punk faced Road Dogg, man. So the match starts. Hero pushes Candido back, and he comically sells into the corner. I'm talking like face on mat, legs on middle rope. Like, it's hilarious. They do a Greco-Roman knuckle lock spot. Hero's obviously dominating that because he's got a massive size advantage.
This is not April Fool's Day then. This is January 4th, 2002. And yeah, CM Punk would beat Road Dogg Jesse James to retain the world title in the main event. Cole Cabana defeated Ian Rotten and somebody named Cash Flow on this show as well.
We got to cover Cash Flow just so I could do the Ace Hood song. Cash Flow.
Interesting.
Bro. My money. Punk and Road Dogg. The main event of the ages. Make that a WrestleMania main event. Yep. Candido hits an enziguri for a near fall. The enziguri was so exaggerated in the setup to it that it was like, it kind of took me out of it. I can't lie.
It was a lot.
Gorgeous suplex by Chris Candido. Yep. Fucking gorgeous. Especially because, again, like, Chris Hero's a really tall guy. He's like 6'6", 6'7", like, shoot. And he's not big. He's like skinny fat, low key. But, you know, he's just so much bigger than Candido that Candido hitting that suplex looked so good.
Chris Hero only listed 6'4".
He's like Claudio's height, and Claudio's like 6'6".
Interesting. But then again, let's also put out there, we didn't do the height and weight to start this. Chris Candido is 5'8".
Ah, yes, Scrappy Doo.
Hey, man, that's taller than me. So let's back it up. All right, let's back it up. I know I'm built like Bob the Minion, but like let's keep that under wraps. All right.
King Bob.
Massive clothesline by Hero partway through this match. He fucking decapitates Candido.
Folds that individual. Sonny hits a stunner on Chris Hero.
I love it. So she gets in the ring because Candido is distracting the ref by talking to him, and Tammy hits a stunner for a 2 count. We get an overhead belly to belly by Hero. Tammy comes back in, and Nadia Nice, I believe, is Hero's manager. She comes in to counteract and spears her. We do get a cat fight of sorts as Candido pulls Nadia off Tammy. Nadia low blows Candido.
We didn't talk about it, actually. There was a superplex. Candido hits a superplex for a near fall at one point here. I will always say Randy Orton has the best superplex in pro wrestling, the history of pro wrestling. Not even, in my mind, not even close. It's the best superplex.
Clear and away?
Yes, like so far and away, it's not even funny. this is fucking up there.
This is A tier.
Beautiful. And this is Candido, like, well past his wrestling prime at this point, probably. Like, he is.
I mean, he's not old by any. He's 30.
Yeah, but he's not old, but it's more so like the guy's in IWA Mid-South after being in some of the biggest promotions. Like, he's just not.
Yeah. No, he's working the indies. I see. I would say that he's still.
I don't know. I saw
this,
and to me, this was like a noticeable pace decline with him for me here.
I think, and I know Chris Hero is the darling of the IWA. I understand that, but at the same time, Chris Hero is still like a pretty young whippersnapper at this point. So I think it's part.
Chris Hero's that. Chris Hero in 2002 was one of the better wrestlers in the independents. What are we doing here?
I'm trying to defend Chris Candido. Did not mean to disrespect.
But we're not disrespecting Chris Hero. Chris Hero from like 2002 to 2005 was that motherfucking guy.
Chris Hero hits a DDT, but Candido's foot is on the ropes. Tammy gives back knuckles to Candido. Hero with a clothesline. Hero gets the knuckles and clocks Candido
right in front of the ref. The ref is looking at it the whole time.
Looking at it the whole time, which commentary makes a note of. And then I'm like, oh, he hits him for the 3 because clearly a 3 count happens. But that's not what happens, is it?
Yes, because apparently the bell rang with like 2.5 seconds on that count. So he didn't get all the way down before apparently the bell rang. And they called it a time limit draw. And Hero wants 5 more minutes.
They get like 2.
They got 2.
You ever argue with your parents like when you're a little kid and you're like, it's time for bed, and you're like 5 more minutes, and they're like, okay, and they come back in a minute later, and you're like, listen,
it Linda, ain't been 5 minutes. Done.
I can't save in the middle of a battle, Mom.
Yeah, I can't save online games. The time restarts.
Yeah,
Hero's just going for pins. He's going for roll-ups, schoolboys, like, whatever it may be.
I'll pin him again.
Yeah, suplex by Candido for the near fall. It's fucking great. Flying headbutt by Candido for a near fall. Hero hits a sit-out power slam kind of move, which I thought was cool.
So sick.
It's not the Emerald Flosion, so I don't want to call it that, but it's in like the same
tree
ballpark.
It's in the same learning tree, just like Chris Jericho.
Okay, we're not talking about that right now. We're not talking about Big Bill potentially being a part of it. And then it just ends. It's like it's over. There's nothing else.
Time limit draw happens, which is it wasn't good.
They hands. Sonny hugs Nadia. Blah 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 blah. Baby faces.
Baby faces. Gonna baby face. Candido would debut in TNA in January of 2005 when he faced AJ Styles in a losing effort. He would have a couple of other matches against people like Dustin Rhodes and Diamond Dallas Page. He would have matches with Shark Boy and Chris Sabin and Elix Skipper. And then he would get into a feud and he would have a match at Lockdown. So Lockdown, April 24th, 2005. Candido would fracture his tibia and fibula and dislocate his ankle in a cage match with Lance Hoyt, a.k.a. Lance Archer, against Apollo and Sonny Siaki. He underwent surgery the next day to have titanium plates and screws inserted into his leg, and was at the following Impact tapings managing the Naturals, who defeated the America's Most Wanted to win the NWA Tag Team Championships. 4 days after his injury, so April 28th, he felt ill. His condition worsened during the day and collapsed in the evening and was rushed to the hospital, where he was diagnosed with pneumonia. Doctors drained his lungs, but Candido died soon afterwards at 33 years of age.
It sucks. It's a heartbreaking story, man.
Yeah, and it's an unfortunate thing, like what happens with surgeries. Obviously, like, there's always complications, but for someone so young and so, by all accounts, like, physically fit and all these things, to have this happen is obviously tragic. And his brother Johnny initially believed that it was due to a blood clot, a complication from the surgery. And then 2016, Johnny revealed that Chris's autopsy confirmed that it was not the blood clot, but acute pneumonia brought on because of his surgery. And Chris Candido has become like a cautionary tale. Like, CM Punk, I believe, mentioned Candido as one of the reasons he was so nervous about that post elbow clot, the surgery clot he had.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the injury itself?
No, I have not watched the injury.
So it's not even like it's a wild spot that happened. I think it's just a crossbody that he just, like, his leg just got caught underneath him and it went one way while his body went the other. Like, it's
Yeah.
literally just like one of those freak accident things. It's not even like he did like a crazy spot in the cage match either. It's crazy. I remember Candido from TNA. So when I
Hmm.
like got more into because 2005 TNA was like the peak of me watching TNA. So when I got more into like, more knowledgeable about the business and the history of the business
Yeah.
as a whole, and I found out more about Candido, I was like, oh shit, like it's that guy. Like,
Yeah.
that's the guy that was with Sonny and all this other stuff. Like, all right, that's weird that that's the case. But I mean, yeah, it's from from these matches alone, you could tell the guy was wicked talented. And 33 years old is way too soon.
Way too soon. I'm
Way too soon.
32. Like, no, I don't want to go nowhere.
For a
Um,
guy whose career was so long already at
yeah,
that point.
and guaranteed had like he could have been a foundational piece for TNA moving forward. I'm sure at some point WWF could have come calling. Like there was always an opportunity for things like that to happen. It's just unfortunate
Yeah.
and extremely tragic. I recommend everyone go watch The Dark Side of the Ring on Candido and Sonny. I think everyone
Yeah.
should go watch it. I, take Purge back on for a second. I think Dark Side of the Ring is kind of running out of things to talk about, and I think they should
I
kind
don't
of.
know.
I
They
think they
just
should.
did who did they do the other day? Mike Adams? No. Yeah, is it Mike Adams? They did Mike
If
Adams the other day, who's one of the worst people ever.
I
Just
think
sucks.
I think they should narrow down what they're doing, and like if they want to extend it for like like if they want like 4 more seasons, they should just cut down to like 2 seasons of really good, and then like I feel like the amount of filler episodes that are coming out is more than it ever has been,
I
and
don't know.
so
I feel like there's a lot of people, like a lot of stuff now that's like I would say it's more so we're
do we need to
learning
just talk more about
more.
like modern stuff now too?
No, I think it's more so like we're talking about people who probably weren't as big, like Mike Adams, who's the guy who trained Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Mm,
I think it's Mike Adams. And like legitimately sucked. Like, this dude had like an absolute temper tantrum at all time. Like, this season has been kind of freaking insane as far as the stories told and all this other stuff. Um, and it's from people who aren't as big. Like, there are people like at least I've never heard of before. Um,
Gentleman Chris Adams.
Chris Adams, that's what it was. And the guy was not a gentleman at all. But I think it should be more stuff like that. People that you don't really hear about as often. Because listen, the history of pro wrestling is colored in blood. Like, it's dark. It's for as entertaining a product as it is. It's like those, it's like the freak show circuses from way back in the day. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, they're super entertaining in the moment, but it's like really messed up when you think about it.
Don't get me wrong. We should continue to expose the underbelly that is professional wrestling and the terrible things that happen in it. I just feel like the beginnings, like the first couple seasons of Dark Side of the Ring, were like 100% like hit rate of like what crazy fucking stories are happening. And I feel like like this past season has been like not 100%. And I'm worried that they're running out of things. And I just want them to like
I
if
think
they're my thing is if they're saving things for later, don't just like give us hits and then when you think of more stuff like bring us more. That's all.
I just think you don't like look, man, they can't all be home runs.
Yes, they can. All
No,
right,
that's not how that works. We're not Adam Dunn, man. We're like
but we should
we're
be
not.
dingers all day.
You
All
gotta
right.
be well around hitters.
Obviously, what we learned about Chris Candido is talented in-ring wrestler, hell of a
Yes.
guy. A lot of good, like the suplexes alone are worth the price of admission. What's
Seems like
something
a
else that's
fun like a charismatic dude, just based off of like in-ring, like his in-ring, heel tactics and stuff like that. The
yeah,
way he like, kind of comedically over the top with all the stuff, like very charismatic worker.
yeah,
I don't know what he sounds like as a normal promo, because that is not a normal promo. What we got this week is just really entertaining. But I don't know what a serious Chris Candido promo sounds like, but that was really good. I really enjoyed that. Overall, good
yeah.
worker. I think he
I'm
was always going to be. There was always going to be a ceiling on him due to his height and stuff like that. But I think he's a guy who, especially if he had come back around, let's say he does a couple years in TNA, that carries the X division, maybe gets a little bit of an EY push towards the main event scene during that time period, or maybe goes back to WWE after a couple years. in that late 2000s period. Maybe, he gets like a Jamie Noble type of run or something like that Jamie Noble got there in the WWE. But I just think he's a really good worker, and regardless of where he lands, whether that have been staying in TNA or going to a Ring of Honor or going back to WWE, maybe doing some trips around Japan, I think he would have been a good hand for any promotion to have.
Yeah. What a talented in-ring guy too. Like, he clearly knew
Yes.
what to do in the business. And honestly, his partnership with Sonny was really great. Like, when it was in terms of the in-ring stuff, it was good. And I'm just going to qualify with the on-air product. The
Yes, in
on-air
front
product
of the
stuff
camera.
it was good. When the camera
That
was on,
worked. When the camera was off.
should,
Poor guy.
you should follow us on all the social media at Crossbody of Work, on Instagram, on Twitter, and follow the podcast. Subscribe wherever you're listening. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We're on the road to 300 subscribers. We would love for you to be one of them. We not just have all of this stuff. We also have bonus content. We have other exclusive videos that we do on here. Things like, we did put in the podcast feed our interview with Brad Baluchian, which was wonderful, as we talked
Great.
about
Loved it.
the Six Pack, his wonderful new book, but also things like where we rebook things, Crossbody Corrections, as well as things like Take a Card, Make a Card, the most stressful game show in existence. So join us for all those on YouTube. Follow Javier wherever he tells you right now.
I'm on the Twitter machine at JMello Sports. Lob the boy, follow.
You can follow me as well at It's Evan Gomes, ITSEVANGOMES. Make sure you hit us up on the merch store. It is in the show notes of both the YouTube video and the podcast. You see Javier's got the crew neck on. I've got the hat on. It's all good stuff. Also, just hit us up on social media. Hit us up in the DMs and tell us who we could cover. Tell us who you want to see us talk about on the podcast. Is it Bobby
Let
Blades?
the boys know.
Let us know. But we know who we are covering next week. Do you remember who we're covering next week? It's one of your favorites.
I know who we're covering over the next 2 episodes, but I don't remember the order.
How would I say this? They are some of your favorites. Yes, the two of them.
Next week, we covering them boys.
It is
one of the greatest
Briscoes
tag teams of all time. Ring of Honor legends, arguably the greatest performance to ever come out of Ring of Honor as a tandem. It just one of the things I'm looking forward to most in this world is our episode on the Briscoes, because God damn it, we're in for some real good tag team wrestling, Evan.
Mark, Jay, the Briscoes, specifically as a team. We'll definitely cover their own individual accolades at some other time, but this week it's all going to be about them boys as a team. So next week, tune in as we talk about the Briscoes. Thanks for joining us as we talked about our boy Chris Candido. It's now time for everyone's favorite part of the podcast. Javier, any final words for the people?
This week on Life Advice with Javier, for anybody who's got a trip coming up, planning a trip, all this other stuff. I'm talking a lot about trips because I'm going on one.
We are recording this I think the earliest we've recorded an episode since my wedding. This is the earliest we've recorded an episode, which is normally we record, again, peek behind the curtain. These episodes come out first thing for you Monday morning. It's Monday evening and we're recording next week's episode.
It's because I'm going to be gone for a week and some change. But anyways, so my life advice this week, if you've got a trip coming up, if you're going on a trip, or if you're planning, if you're in the early development stages of maybe getting a trip together, my recommendation honestly is, you're gonna, when you're booking stuff, whether that be flights, hotels, excursions, dinner, reservations, blah, 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 you're gonna get confirmation emails and stuff like that. My life advice this week is for everyone, for the specific trip that you are planning, create an email folder for it. Okay. Let's say you're going to Spain, just do Spain 2024. Yep. Any email confirmation you get from that, flights confirmations, hotel reservations,
this is good.
Dinner reservations, going to, I don't know, let's say you're going to go explore like something in Madrid, like you're in a Real Madrid game. The confirmation email for that, all that jazz, put it in that folder. That way, if you need to quickly find it when you're out there and you only have a limited amount of time to go connect to a Wi-Fi of some sort to look it up on your phone or whatever, you know exactly where it is. It's in that folder. It's very important.
This is exactly what I did when we did our trip to Philadelphia. I knew where everything was. I knew where the tickets were. I knew where the hotel reservations were. I knew where my plane tickets were because it was in the Philadelphia. It just said Philly. So I knew exactly where to go to find all the stuff. That is some good practical advice this week. Look at you.
Yes.
Giving people practical advice. Again, a reminder, the greatest advice we ever had on this podcast, don't die. We'll be back next week. We'll be talking about the Briscoes. We will talk to you then.
Reach for the scab.